Hello YouTubers, Dukey Dave here. Today I'm going to do my rankings on the Peter Davison era of the show, which I think Peter Davison, in my opinion, is probably like one of the most underrated doctors in the show, and I feel like his era was probably like one of the best eras of the show, and I really enjoyed his doctor for being a little bit more serious. So let's begin with Castrovelva. A great start to the Peter Davison era. I think the story is really underrated, mostly because it's overshadowed by stories like Kinder, The Visitation, and Earthshock from the season. But I actually really enjoyed it. People say they only watched it for part one, but I think it's a great story. I think it was a great start to Peter Davison's Doctor, and I think it also began the Fifth Doctor's arc, in my opinion. Just my opinion. Great story, really enjoyable. For to Doomsday, another great story. I love this, how it gets all the historical, events of different cultures and stuff. So yeah, and I do love the outer spaceism. This is one of the episodes where you see the Fifth Doctor using his sonic screwdriver. And then we have Kinder, fantastic story. One of my favorite Peter Davison stories, a really dark story. This would also begin foreshadowing. This would show more foreshadowing of Actrix deaths. The Mara is really terrifying. I think I actually prefer the puppet version than the CGI version of it. That's just my opinion. Overall, fantastic story. Visitation, another fantastic story. The Visitation creature has got such a fantastic design. I really hope Character Options makes that as an action figure someday. I also love the Reaping robot. Such a really colourful looking robot. Also, this is the last story. This is also the Sonic Screwdriver's last appearance in the original series. So yeah, it's really sad that the Sonic Screwdriver, but overall, as I said before, it's its last appearance in the original series. Black Orchid, great two-parter. I actually heard that Peter Davison really hated that story, but I think it's a great story. I don't know what he's complaining about. I think it was really enjoyable. Earthshock, fantastic story. This is another one of my favorite stories of all time. I love the design of the Cybermen. I think the 80s design of the Cybermen, in my opinion, is like the most iconic look to the Cybermen of all time. Whenever I think of the Cybermen, I think of that look. This has like one of the most tragic kill-offs for a companion in the whole show. So yeah, fantastic story. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely one of those stories you could get into classic Doctor Who. It's definitely with this story. So yeah, fantastic story. Time Flight. Shitting all into this, that's probably like the worst story. I feel like season 19 should have ended with Earthshock, and season 19 is actually a strong season. It's such a great start to the Peter Davison era. I really wish Earthshock was the season 19 film instead of Time Flight. And over here, I'm so glad we got season 19 on Blu-ray. I really hope that I don't know which is the next Peter Davison series going to be released on Blu-ray. I really hope it's season 21, but I think it's probably very likely it's going to be season 20 because it also marks the 40th anniversary of season 20, and it's the one. Yeah. Arc Infinity, fantastic story. I think the design in this is great. It may not be as iconic as the one from the Freed August, but still fantastic story, really underrated. Yeah, and Peter Davison's performance as both Omega and the Fifth Doctor works really well. Snake Dance, great story. Not as good as Kinder, but still really enjoyable. Mordred Undead, great story. Nice to see Brigadier come back, and also a great introduction to Tola and a great comeback to to the Black Guardian. I feel like he was really terrifying here. So yeah, just shows you how terrifying the Black Guardian can really be. Terminus, it's an okay story, probably like the weakest out of the Black Guardian trilogy. This Enlightenment, fantastic story. Another one of my favorite Peter Davison stories of all time. The Black Guardian is so terrifying here. Like how he teleports in and out. It's actually a really dark story in my opinion. The Black Guardian really terrified me. Terrifying me story overall. Fantastic story. Another one of my favorite Peter Davison stories. King Seaman's a pretty good story. I love the sword fight between the Master and the Fifth Doctor. It brings back references from the Three Doctors, from the Sea Devil. So yeah, fantastic. Fantastic story. Pretty good story. Right. The Five Doctors, fantastic story. Another one of my favorite stories of all time. It would have been interesting if this was a four-parter. There is a four-parter editions out there. Overall, I think this is a fantastic story. Another one of my favorite Peter Davison stories of all time. This was the second classic series story I watched. So yeah. Warriors of the Deep, a great story. Really underrated. I don't think it deserves all the hate it has. The Merca is not all that great, but I feel like if they go for the Blu-ray edition, I feel like the CGI render will really make the Merca more better looking. Overall, it's a great story. This is also both the Silurians and Sea Devil's last appearance in the original series, and I feel like the 80s design of the Silurians is probably like the last great design of the Silurians in general. The Awakening, fantastic story. Does so well for a two-parter story. I think it would have worked if it was I think it was originally intended to be a four-parter. Yeah, but I'm so glad it came out. Because Chameleon was supposed to be in stories, but well, we can't everything. Maybe we'll get a four-parter edition if Season 21 comes out on Blu-ray. Frontier's fantastic story. I love the soundtrack and the story. The design for the tractor ones is really great. Such terrifying, and I love how they pull you, like how they pull people into the earth and how they pull you in like through magnetic fields. So terrifying. Seeing the tires get pulled apart is pretty messed up. And I love how this also would begin giving Tolo more character development, showing that him suffering from post-traumatic stress. So yeah, fantastic story. Resurrection of Daleks. This was actually the first classic Doctor Who story ever on a DVD. Great story. Terry Molloy is just brilliant as the Davros. Both he and Peter Davison work so well together. So yeah, great story. The four-parter version of this story works so much better than the two-part edition. Planet of Fire, fantastic story. Really underrated story. It does so well. This is the first time we ever see a companion committing suicide. So yeah, fantastic story, really underrated. And then we got The K's Androzani, fantastic story. My favorite Peter Davison story all the time. I love it. This was the first classic series story I watched, and it's and what got me into the classic series. Fantastic story from beginning to end. Series Jax works so well as an anti-hero. So overall, fantastic story, and such a fantastic closure to the Peter Davison era. Overall, I think I really like Season 21. Season 21, in my opinion, is a really strong season. I personally see it as Peter Davison's best season. I really hope that season gets released on Blu-ray next, but I don't know. Who knows? Overall, that was my entire ranking on the Peter Davison era of the show. I'll see you next for part 6 with the Colin Baker era. Later now and bye not forever. This is Juki Dave signing off. Bye.